Hi, I'm Rusty Wise with the Wise News Network, and today we're in Bessemer City, North Carolina, and behind me is the Livent Lithium Plant, which had a fire at 1:20 a.m. this morning. We just left a press conference, and here's what they had to say.
All right, so good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming out this morning. My name's Adam Gobb. I'm the Communications Director for Gaston County. What we're going to do this morning, we're going to have Josh Ross come up. He's going to talk a little bit about kind of the folks that we have here. A few of you heard from him earlier this morning. And then we're going to hear from Scott Hunter, who is the Acting Emergency Management Director for Gaston County. And then we're going to lastly hear from Harris Walker from Livent. And then I'll come back up here to take any questions that you might have at this point. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Josh.
Good morning. My name is Josh Ross, and I'm the City Manager for Bessemer City. I would like to start by saying that Bessemer City is greatly appreciative and supportive of all the partnerships from all agencies that responded this morning at the situation at Livent. Bessemer City is very appreciative of the support and the cooperation, also the support and cooperation from Livent. The city would like to report that Highway 161 has been reopened for traffic at this time. Behind me are members from Gaston County Emergency Management and Fire Services, Livent Management and Government Affairs, Gaston County EMS, members of the Bessemer City Fire and Police Departments, elected officials from Bessemer City, Mayor Becky Smith, and Gaston County Commissioner Bob Hovis. At this time, I would like to introduce Scott Hunter. He is the Acting Gaston County Emergency Management Director for information on this morning's fire. Thank you.
Good morning. So this morning at approximately 1:20, the Gaston County Communications received a call for a commercial building on fire. Crews from Bessemer City arrived minutes later and encountered heavy fire conditions at the Livent Corporation. Shortly thereafter, they pulled what we called a second alarm. They transmitted a second alarm, which called for additional resources, and several minutes after that, a third alarm was struck. The incident brought multiple Gaston County fire agencies, along with Gastonia Fire, the City of Charlotte Regional Response Hazmat Team, and Gaston County EMS, along with all the police agencies. What we encountered, or what the fire crews encountered, was lithium, an area of the building that was burning that was reported to involve lithium, which is water reactive. So one of the major problems that the fire department had was the extent that the fire had progressed by the time they arrived on the scene. By the time they got the call and arrived on the scene, no water was able to be applied because of the water reactive nature of the product. So the determination was made to allow that particular section of the building to burn, while in the meantime, the other parts of the building, firefighters and Livent workers went inside with forklifts and other equipment to remove over 200 drums of other material to a safe haven into another place of the building where it would not be affected by fire. There was no evacuation that was needed. The hazmat team on site did area monitoring. They checked the area for any hazardous chemicals, and in coordination with what their results indicated, and in cooperation and information from plant authorities, there was no need for evacuation. The runoff was contained on site, so we did have when the lithium burned, it formed almost like a lava type product. It was contained on site, so there's no concern for any hazmats that's off the property. Any questions for me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Concern for pouring water onto the product itself. What is that concern for you guys?
It's highly explosive.
Highly explosive?
Yep.
I
So
think that was the first concern going in.
that is, yeah. So the fire department, Bessemer City, is well aware of the business. Not that they've had any incidents here, but they're well aware of their surroundings, so they knew what was here, what was encountered, or what they were going to encounter. And so once there was a small group of folks on the property that met the firefighters upon arrival, told them, confirmed what was in that area, and that's when the determination was made that there was no way they could use water on it. I'm sorry. Approximately a third of the building. And I don't have a size. We'll have to get it from Livent, but it was a large concrete building.
Are operations
the operations in that facility are not able to be completed. They're on hold.
If you can, talk to us, because I know when you're dealing with something like this, highly flammable, those first few minutes are, talk to us about those first few minutes, the action and reaction to what you guys saw.
So when the fire department arrived on the scene, once again, trying to get the proper information. So you have to understand that this is a large facility. So there's products throughout the whole property. So it's not just that lithium is in one building or in the entire building. So part of this building had lithium in it. The other parts of the building did not. It was just pallets of other material. So number one is making sure life safety is number one. So when these firefighters arrive, their number one incident priority is making sure that the workers are safe. So the workers' safety is more important than theirs. So they determined that to make sure people are out of the building. And then the next step was determining, seeing where the fire was. Of course, you could see where it was, coordinating with the plant authorities if, in fact, that area did involve lithium, which it did. And that's when the decision was made not to put water on it, but to protect exposures. And that's when they began moving all the drums of the property under fire conditions. They did this all under fire conditions and moved all the drums to another area. That area burned itself out. Yes, sir.
To be clear here, I mean, yes, water and lithium cannot necessarily react with one another, but did you guys have anything in place, or are there any plans in place to have something that would essentially put a fire involving lithium? Because I would imagine this is something that potentially, as far as emergency management, you guys would have to plan for.
So there is nothing on site. So you've got materials that can put lithium out. However, it's on a much larger, much smaller scale. So something this large, there's nothing that I'm aware of in the area that will put that magnitude of fire out once it is to that degree. We did reach out. Charlotte did bring one of their tankers. They dispatched one of their tankers that has purple K, which is a powder type substance. We also talked to the Buckeye plant down the street. But the temperatures that this lithium burns at is over 1,700 degrees. And the extent of fire at that point, it was just going to burn the purple K away. So that's when the decision was made to isolate that area. And we did have, on into it, the fire departments did put hoses in place to protect exposures, but that was not needed. Under investigation, no. And we have the ATF, the SBI, and the state fire marshal's office are on site as well, helping, assisting us with the investigation. No.
If you can, the air quality was an issue. I saw for a while a drone in the air. Were you guys using that drone just as line of sight? Was it taking testing? How was that?
The drone was all visual. Heat signatures, the location of the fire, the extent of the fire. We did have building compromise. In other words, the walls were beginning to collapse and fall. So the drones were very advantageous in locating the extent of the fire and how far it went in. But once again, once the firefighters went inside into the adjacent building, they were able to also maintain visual on where the fire was. But all the monitoring was done by the hazmat team. Yes.
What's your message to them? How can you assure them that the air quality here is safe? And how do you know that?
Well, how did the message go out to them?
No. I know people were told to stay in their homes.
Yes.
Is that message still in place? And how can you assure that?
Well, we can assure that because the hazmat team did do air monitoring. They did air monitoring around the building. They also did the air monitoring downwind in the Bessemer City area. And the hazmat team, both Gastonia and Charlotte, have been gone for over 3 hours now. So the area is safe. There was no readings that were in the abnormal range.
And are operations halted at that one specific area that burned, or on the entire plant? And if so, for how long?
So you'll have to, it's my understanding the operations at that time halted for the whole plant because we needed to get an accountability of all the workers. Now the process, they have gone back to work in other parts of the property, but not that building. That's my understanding. It was lithium in the building. That was the primary concern from the lithium plants authorities. Yes.
And if we can, I'm going to bring up Mr. Walker from Livent to let him talk a little bit, and then we'll take any more of your questions that you might have at this time. Appreciate you.
Morning, everyone. As I said, I'm Harris Walker. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for Livent Corporation. First and foremost, we really want to thank our partners in Bessemer City Fire Department, the City of Gaston County and Gaston County Emergency Management, and all the resources from the state of North Carolina and beyond that helped us respond to this incident today. I think it's a clear indication of the regular and ongoing partnership that we have with these agencies to know what we have there, what to prepare for should anything ever happen. I think we're fortunate to say that this isn't something that we regularly deal with, but we plan for all occasions. We're really appreciative of their support in helping us quickly respond to the fire, which broke out earlier this morning at our lithium metal warehouse at the manufacturing plant right down the street in Bessemer City. The fire has largely subsided at this point, as mentioned, apart from some smoke and a few smoldering pockets. While the initial fire was intense, there were no toxic chemicals or compounds on fire, and we do not believe that there's any immediate risk to the local community, and that was reached in determination and consultation with all of our emergency management partners. We're so grateful that there have been no injuries to Livent personnel or any first responders, and we'll continue to work closely with the authorities to investigate this matter. Our top priority right now, though, is obviously ensuring the safety of our employees, the plant, and the community. So I don't know if we want to wait until after the questions.
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Is this the first incident of its kind at this facility? My understanding is this facility opened in November.
So this is. You want to answer?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry.
You want me to answer?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I'm Jamie Watts. I'm the plant manager for the plant down the street. JAMIEWATTS. And this is the first incident of this type at the facility in more than 15 years. The facility did not open in November. The facility's been here for decades.
If you can, lithium, what form is the lithium in the state that it became a product today? Is this a solid form? Is this the rock that we used to see? What form?
This was in an ingot form,
And explain to make sure that we understand.
like a
Slow it down.
like a gold. Imagine like a gold bar, but bigger. Yeah, like that.
Not using my
Yeah.
imagination.
Okay. All right.
If you can, talk to us a bit. I know there has to be some concern not knowing what started this and then trying to complete your job. How do you do that? How do you go back to work without understanding what caused this potentially, troublesome situation?
Yeah. So as has already been mentioned, an investigation is currently underway, and we are committed to fully investigating with the support of the proper authorities, some of whom are standing behind me, and getting to the cause of it and taking corrective action. Okay.
So what's the larger impact of this? Because my understanding is that you guys, the plant supplied or is going to supply over 50% of the lithium batteries for EVs. So what's the larger impact of what happened?
And the question was asked earlier about operational impact. We're not, at this point, we're not ready to start looking at restart of operations in the plant, but we will get to that point. I don't know where that statistic came from, but I don't think that's correct. But the larger impact at this point, we really haven't assessed it yet. Okay.
Any idea how long you're going to be down waiting for completed investigation or?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry for cutting you off. Was that the rest of your question? Yeah. We want to understand to the extent that we need to in order to safely restart operations.
So the folks who are there now, the employees, what are they doing? Are they clean up? Are they managing assets?
What I would describe as recovery operations, right? So all of the above, clean up, assessing damage, that kind of thing. Yes, sir.
Not to be facetious here, but some people usually associate lithium with lithium-ion batteries. There have been news over the past couple of years about the potential for explosions, especially in warm situations. To be clear, this is not this, right?
These were not lithium-ion batteries. No, sir.
just the material used in that process, right? In a bar form, of some sort.
Correct.
Does heat or humidity affect the lithium?
Heat or humidity affect the lithium? It can in sufficient amounts, yes.
But I think the actual temperatures
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so
Come on
I
over.
would say that like the specifics and the exact temperatures that were experienced last night and things like that are still part of this ongoing investigation. So I think at this point it's too early to say what, if any, effect the temperatures may have had.
Does someone else answer that question? You might have a better
Yeah,
idea. The
y'all-
length of
y'all-
the
y'all
fire,
subject
I don't know
matter
the answer
experts.
to that one.
I'm Assistant Chief Michael Brooks with the Bessemer City Fire Department. As Chief Hunter had it notated earlier, the call went out at 1:20 a.m. We got a control time, I believe, around 9:45 a.m., just before everyone cleared the scene.
And it sounded like when you guys got on the scene, what you found was pretty intense.
Yes, sir.
Can you talk us through that?
So when I was the first arriving officer on the scene, what I noticed and witnessed was that the fire was through the roof of the facility when I arrived. We worked closely with Livent on where the command post is going to be, where things get set up, and then we start pulling resources. So it's kind of hectic there for a while until you get everything going and get your game plan going. But once it got going, I believe we had a pretty good handle on it. Yes, sir.
Sure. Thanks, sir.
Granted, the place would already gone, but we know much was made about this when we cut it back.
Right.
This was 7 months ago. This has to get done quickly.
So to be clear, and I think Jamie can probably address this more concretely as the subject matter expert, but to the best of my knowledge, we're talking about two separate things here. I just wanted to make abundantly clear that the BCX opening back from the fall. Yeah.
It's unrelated area. Absolutely unrelated area.
Sure. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's kicking the pants. I would say that this site has been regularly engaging in lithium, hydroxide and other lithium component production for, more than 80 years. It's what we do. It's what we've always done here. Those kind of operations were already occurring at the site. They will continue to occur at the site. That is what we do as a company. But the BCX new ribbon, cutting area, to the best of my knowledge, was not affected at all by this. Yeah, it was not affected at all by this incident.
Thanks, sir. We appreciate everybody coming out. Obviously, the investigation is just in its early stages, and we know that there's a lot of interest in that. Once that final report is available, we'll work to get that out to everybody. Ken?
Yeah, one question I think is important, I guess, is Scott. Scott, if you can tell us where, there you go, sorry. If you can, we're not, if this was a shooting, I can tell you about how long the investigation might last. How long would the investigation into this last? What are the factors that you're looking into that you need to make sure that you're clear on before you can move forward and say what the cost is?
How long will the investigation take?
Yeah.
You want the truth?
Yeah.
Ken, I really don't know. We truly don't know. One of the problems we're going to have here is that this is going to be what we would call in a fire service an unorthodox type of investigation. We've got a hazardous environment as far as the building coming in. We're unable to get to that part of the building right now. So some of this investigation is actually going to be done with drones. So we're going to have to take drones in either from up above, because the roof's gone, so either from up above or through the main part of the building and assist with the investigation. It may involve heavy equipment. So this is what we call a tilt-up slab. So it's large concrete slabs or the walls. So it could very easily involve cranes taking the walls down for us to be able to get in to investigate. So I mean, you and I both know a typical house fire. We're talking about it. A couple hours. This could run into days. Yes, sir.
I've been here 25 years, and what you just described to me, I've never heard it done before. Is this something that we've ever, that the process that we've ever gone through here in Gaston County, or is this something we're talking about new territory?
I can't speak for what's going on in Gaston County. I can tell you that in large businesses like this is something that has taken place. This isn't, it's unique for the time I've been in Gaston County, but it's not unique for investigators across the country on these large type commercial occupancies, structure fires. Yep.
So the drone is one thing.
Yes, sir.
Bringing in slabs, I guess, is that to support walls or is that to assist them?
No, the what I was referring to is if we need to get in there, if we have to get in there in an unsafe area and a drone won't suffice for what we're doing, then it may involve bringing cranes in to remove the walls because they're leaning in towards the area where we would be investigating. Yes, sir.
Is the material being reusable? Lithium reusable, or what's the waste?
We don't know.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, in terms of overall over the next, what is the general expectation as far as, first off, you mentioned the investigation is going to take long. How much longer? As far as the general part of the investigation is concerned, are you looking for sources, like as far as TV at this point, where does it stand?
So it's a multi-pronged. It's multifaceted right now. So we've got interviews going on. So all the plant authorities are being interviewed that are involved with that particular area, and then we've also have other groups of our division and the state and federal agencies that are taking pictures and they may by now be already flying drones.
And one more thing, we know Gaston County has been looking for more lithium plants. I would imagine considering this from an emergency management standpoint, this is something you might have to be planning for in the future. Is there an ability for them to get any more, double pay or anything of that nature that could be?
See, unfortunately, it's the application. When a fire gets to that extreme, the material that you have to have on hand and the application method, it's just not. It's very difficult to do that. Yeah. Most of the graphite and the things that are used are for the fires or for the small fires, that you can manually apply. But when it gets to this extent, unfortunately, when you make a decision, sometimes not putting the fire out is a decision that you have to make, and then you have to protect. It's a cost-benefit analysis.
So you talk about recovery operations for the employees, but in more specific terms, does that mean that right now they don't have a job, or they're going to different parts of the plant, or what happens with the employees?
At this time, we don't anticipate any impact to employees in that manner. Okay, so that they all still have a job. Okay. The plant employs approximately 250 personnel. 250, that is correct.
Let me get you to repeat that first part because I couldn't quite hear you.
Yeah.
The answer to the first question was
At this time, we are still assessing the situation, but this time there is no impact to employees' employment situation at the plant. Okay.
And I think it's also important to note that we're talking about a roughly 775 acre facility, and we're talking about one small pocket of that facility that was affected by this fire. Today, in the immediate, we're focused on, figuring out what happened, assisting with the investigation. But long term, we're talking about one part of a much larger facility that was affected, and so impacts, will continue to be examined. But I think it stands to reason that the entire facility would not be affected. The continuity of that entire facility would not be affected by one small pocket.
And that one source, that one area there, how would you define that? Is this a storage area? What is this?
That's a better question for Jamie.
Yeah, it is. It was a warehouse area.
Warehouse.
It was a warehouse area.
So, and
That's correct.
that's where you were keeping product that's ready to be shipped from somewhere else was being stored there. Is that correct? Is that the best way to describe it?
So the product stored there was actually for processing purposes. Okay, so it wasn't product for storage. No.
What percentage of product is affected?
Percentage of product. I can't really. I'm not able to answer that question right now. Okay.
Ready? Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you, everybody, for coming. If you have any follow-up questions, you can certainly shoot me an email, shoot me a text, and direct those my way. Like I said before, once we have more details in terms of the investigation and what that final report looks like, we'll get that out to everybody. Thank you so much for coming.
As you can see, there's a lot of questions unanswered regarding the lithium fire this morning in Bessemer City at the Livent plant. Stay tuned for more coverage of the fire and potential coverage later.